What's up, everybody? It's your favorite pterodactyl's favorite nerd. Today we are looking at the Gigapower Swoop from their Gigasaurus line. And there's some really great things about this, and then there's some really questionable things about this. There's a fair amount to talk about. It's on loan to me from East Coast Toys. Shout out to them. Link will be in the description. And I think with that, we can get started. He comes with two of these. They're sculpted nice enough. This bit here is on a ball peg, which is nice, so you can get a little bit of articulation out of that. It does have this silver finish and this gold finish, and then red paint here on the crest. Nicely done. You can bring this piece down, which has the typical kind of standard Masterpiece plug-in method, and that will plug into his palm and then wrap the fingers around. Holds it just fine. And the guns can plug into the underwing in dinosaur mode. He has two swords. They have light up features. I don't have the batteries for them, so, sorry for you. And then we have the black plastic and then the translucent red sculpt. The handle has the tabs, so it'll plug into the hand the same way, as illustrated. Now they also give you this adapter. This adapter has two clips. You insert the sword so that the blade sits down in the furthest channel right before the hilt. And it'll snap on. And then you have this pegs into the back of the figure. You can have this in robot mode or pterodactyl mode. He also comes with an alternate head. It's painted and decoed the same way with this brilliant metallic red candy paint like type style. I'm no paint expert. Somebody would be like, it's not candy. This silver paint on the face. It's the red eyes, like it looks phenomenal. The sculpt I'm not entirely crazy about. It's a little much for me, but I dig it overall, and just a ball peg connection. And it also comes with the translucent kind of toy style head. Once again, mouth opens and this little bit does articulate up. Same as before, or I guess we haven't seen that yet, but the silver paint there, and then the kind of metallic gold, the red eyes, and then the ball peg here connects to the head, and then this connects inside to the body. Now you get this display base, and it's very nice. This all has the gunmetal gray and then the silver gray paint, and then the black there comes through. You can take out these panels that are here and here so that you can connect your kind of flight stand into it. I'm not going to do all of it. It's very hard. I've already tried and I don't want to damage anything. So this is the flight stand. It goes in here. Now you can also have him just stand on here or whatever. That's cool too. And it has these little connections here, I think, for like additional adapter pieces to connect in or what have you. All of it's very cool, but all of it is very Gundam, and that kind of confirms some rumors and suspicions I have heard that I'm not going to get into now, but maybe for another day. The flight stand itself, we do have the Gigapower logo on there, which is shameless, but it does look cool, so I'm with it. And the sliding bar so that you can move this larger piece here up and down. And then you have this, which is like the lock. But this doesn't seem to be working. I can't get it to like slide. It's like just stuck on mine. Now that may be, individual results will vary. It may be that I'm not doing it right, but it should be that you loosen up this and then you can maneuver the inside piece, but I can't get it unlocked. And then you have this piece that moves up and down, and you have these metal pieces here that once you get it in between a ratchet, that by pushing on these, that will lock. That's all done very nice. I'm not sure what's going on here. And let's see if there's anything else we want to talk about. So this piece has a bar that connects to the inside of Swoop, and we'll show that here for robot mode. Right in there. And then they also give you an adapter for the flight stand, so this plugs into pterodactyl mode. I'll show you how that works. It's these two circles and this crossbar here to these two circles, and it'll just clip on, and then you can have him plugged in. They also give you an additional kind of neck assembly for the pterodactyl, and this piece is lubricated. I'm not sure why or what's going on there. I'm not sure what sort of issues they were having, but obviously they thought you might need it, so it's nice that they included it. So let's talk about the figure. The first thing that stood out to me is the arms are a little short. Now they come collapsed when you get it out of the box, so it's misleading, but even when you extend them, they're a little on the short side. It just stands out to me like a sore thumb. I'm not sure why. It may be because of my drawing stuff, and that's not to say that I get proportions right all the time, but I definitely notice it. All right, so the head. The materials feel great, by the way. Like the build and stuff in your hand, it feels awesome. Like the feel of the figure is pretty much perfect. The head is on a ball peg. It's very limited. Now, it has a hinge so you can cheat it, which is nice to look down. And I think it's more important to be able to look down. And I think for like a picture or stuff, you can probably get away with it like you do from that angle. On a shelf, I don't think it's going to get much out of it, honestly. You get the swivel and you get a little bit up and a little bit down, but it's pretty limited in the up-down category. All right. Detailings wise, we've kind of already talked about the head with the other one, but this one has the blue eyes and it looks great. The body looks fantastic in that red paint. Fantastic. The silver paint looks good as well, and then the black detailing showing through, all that looks good. The gold chrome there on the chest for the beak looks fantastic. It has a waist swivel. It does get jammed up a little bit. You can manipulate the pterodactyl head to kind of move it around. So it will work. You just kind of have to like play with the pieces to get it all to like link up right. The arm, it's a universal. It's tensioned. You get out to there, ratcheted forward and back. All good. No issues whatsoever in that regard. Silver paint, red paint. We have a bicep swivel. That works fine. We have a double jointed elbow, which works well. However, the weapon, like the gun, you know, the gun hilt sits all the way back, so you can kind of only get the arm to there when you're holding the gun, which is something that irritates me. Most figures have that problem. I'm just pointing it out because I did some photos and stuff. But yeah, pretty good. And then we have the silver paint finish on the forearm. The wrist swivel, and I think they might even be on ball pegs, so you might get a little bit out of it. Maybe my mind's playing tricks on me there. The fingers, ball peg in the base of the hand. And then we have, for the thumb, and then we have an additional hinge. Now, they are pinned, so they should be fine, which is good. They feel a little on the flimsy side. The thumb does anyway. That these fingers feel much better. And they swivel at the base of the hand. So that's a really nice touch. It's going to get more attitude out of that. So that's cool. And then you have 1, 2 hinges. So you should get everything that you need. Hands are fully articulated, no problem. For the hips, so we have hip skirts. They come up. They're fully painted. And we have universals for hips. And I just want you to guess whether or not they're ratcheted. This blew my mind. They're not. And I would have never expected them not to be. They're tolerance very well, so I don't think it'll be an issue. But it was just surprising to me because the build of this figure is pretty fantastic. It just was surprising to me that they're, maybe that, oh, I guess that is a ratchet there going forward and back. But it's like, it's weak. It's not great. It's trash, actually. So that's why it doesn't work well. But they're tolerance well enough. I mean, it's a little stiff going forward and back. That they'll hold the pose with no issue. So they don't necessarily need the ratchets there. But it was surprising to me. Silver paint on the thighs looks great. The gold chrome looks great. Gold chrome on the feet of the pterodactyl look great. And you can even get some of the playability of the articulation of the toes over top of the kneecap. So you can kind of have them flush there or out a bit, which is nice. Ratcheted knee. Now, one thing I love, one thing I'm not crazy about. I love the pistons. I love little stuff like that. It's on both. It's not really a problem, but they're not very strong, and that's part of the engineering. These pieces back here connect, but they're not very strong. It's surprising, and it's I don't think it'll get in the way of enjoying the figure. I'm not sure if anybody's talking about it, but the figure's heavy, you know, and with the heft of the figure, you're gonna have to make some sacrifices, and it should have had probably a stronger ratchet in there. It's in there, and I haven't had any problem posing them and getting them to stay stable. Just pointing it out. Silver paint, red paint, all that stuff looks great. All the little details there, I love that stuff, and it looks phenomenal. Ankles. So we have die-cast pieces in the ankle. We have silver paint added to the feet, and they're on a double hinge, I believe. The rocker is just this. As far as I can tell, Now, I've messed with them a good bit, and I can't seem to get any more out of it. That's very limiting and very disappointing. Not crazy about that at all. So, it's hard to articulate. The knees are fine, right? But the weakness of the knee and the heft of the back of the figure ends up pulling against the engineering here, which are these lock-in pieces. And as I've been manipulating it, I've had to go back and put it back together and put it back together and put it back together. Now, that's not a big deal. You know, when you got your stuff on display, you're good to go. But for the review, it is getting annoying. You do get an ankle tilt down, and you get an ankle tilt up. So that all works fine, and you get a heel spur that you can kind of adjust. But the ankles are loose, and that's what's surprising to me as well, because that's one of the issues with the Fans Toys one, right? And you would think that Giga would have learned from their mistakes and really ironed that home, especially with the weight of this thing. You see how it pulled up against the back of that engineering? And they didn't. And that's a real bummer. Like that, those ankles need to be super secure because this figure has heavy wings on his back. Speaking of which, there's the back of the figure. I think it's clean as a whistle. This is it's a little much. Like it's a little unsightly because it doesn't sit super tight up against him, but that's definitely a nitpick. Overall, I think it's very clean from the back. Size comparison wise, there it is next to the Fans Toys. And I mean, it just towers over it. I think the paint on the Gigapower one also comes through a lot more. The gold chrome is more impressive as well. But it's so crazy, man. It's like the Gigapower one feels like an alternate universe Fans Toys one. Like they had the same problems, like the same problems in the ankles, same limited articulation in the head, same kind of wonky engineering for the thighs. Like it's so funny to me. But there they are next to each other. And there it is with the Magic Square Prime. So, you know, scales in the eye of the beholder. If that feels right to you, then you're in good company. Let's get him transformed. And you know me, I like to get as much stuff out of the way as possible. Make sure that you turn the biceps so that these two lines kind of are parallel to one another. It'll also help knowing that the flap will be turned to the outside of the figure. Fold the hand in, fold the flap in. Make sure the thumb is nice and out of the way. Oh, lordy. So this doesn't stop, like it doesn't have a stopping place. So it's hard to find out exactly where it is and then collapse the shoulder. Same on the other side, rotate, panel up, hand in, flap down. Collapse at the shoulder. Take the pterodactyl head up, that'll bring this entire panel that the head is on up. And then you can connect the two and get it out of the way. So look, there's these two armatures here that they advise pulling up to allow you to collapse all this stuff in the center. But there's two channels for them to slide in, and I can't get them up. So I got news for you. It works without doing it. I hope I'm not damaging it, but I can't get them off. So you collapse the shoulders, and then you just collapse these pieces. And then you just collapse the shoulders again, collapse your heel spurs, flip these panels up on the back of the calves, and then rotate on the double hinge the entire foot or feet inside and then close it back up. Unlock these side panels here on the back of the legs. Which will allow this whole section to kind of move up and out of the way. Then you can bring down your paws, dog paws. It's not really dog, but you know, all good. And then you can close these back in on themselves, and that's a really kind of cool thing they got going on there. Now for the leg itself, you want to bring it back. You got these two tabs here, and they go into the two holes on the opposite side of what you're seeing there. And let's see if we can. I'm trying not to mess up the paint and stuff. There. And then same for this side. Up. And try to just wiggle it. Or is it jiggle it? Dude, I feel like I've been doing some weird things with my verbiage recently. All right, and then close this up here. And then I mean, you expand the wings. You got to get this tail out, and that's pretty much it. Oh, I should have done that before I did the legs, shouldn't I? I'll get it. I'll clean them up. We'll take a look at them. And there it is. I'm going to do size comparisons first just because it's so massive. But there's Tiger Tracks. Or with him. Oh, that's Omnigonic. This guy deserves a Tiger Tracks comparison, I think. So he's massive. There's a lot to talk about. So the neck. This whole piece slides up and down. I think you're supposed to have it in the down position. However, I do like that it gives you some versatility in regard to how it moves. So you can have it down, you know what I mean, for this pose where he's like kind of soaring, or you can slide it up and it gives you a little bit more. Except the only thing is the tolerance on that. But it gives you a little bit more playability to have the head in a downward position. So I dig that. The eyes are not painted. Now they gave you a chrome sticker sheet and I wonder if that's their intention, but that really turns me off. Yep, there's the decal set and I didn't notice it at first, but it actually has eye cuts inside of it. Not cool. Not cool in my opinion. Not the way to do business. But they're there. The jaw is obviously articulated as we saw in the alternate one. And then it opens up to about there. Can I get more out of it if I have it open up? Yeah, you can get a little bit more out of it. And then this obviously articulates as well on the same hinge. Nothing side to side. That's always a bit of a complication regarding swoops. And this is my favorite. Well, let's go over the wings. So you get the hinge here. Real quick, I also want to make sure I say that they also hinge out to a very wide degree, almost 90 degrees. You get a double hinge here, and you get a hinge here, and then you get the pterodactyl feet. All the toes are individually articulated, or claws, and they're like little hands, right? And then they swivel here. The problem with this, they're painted, but they're painted this silver on top of these chrome wings, and it's a distraction for me. I'm not gonna lie to you. Then the legs, this is my favorite part. You get like a little ankle bend, which is pretty cool. And then the feet are also on a hinge as well. So there's actually a fair amount you can do to really give him some character. I think that's really, really well done. And then the tail obviously hinges up and down. And then this piece, it feels like it's like on a ball peg, which is a strange choice. It doesn't swivel or anything. It's just very loose. It can give you a little extra wiggle waggle. So it's a pretty impressive bird. There is the eye thing is kind of unforgivable to me, but it's a pretty impressive swoop overall. I think I love what they did regarding the kind of ankles and stuff. That's really, really kind of smart and classy. Final thoughts wise, let's talk about the negatives. The ankle rocker is the thing that sticks out to me the most. I really think they should have done that a bit better. I also think there should have been more strength in the ankles because he is back heavy and has a tendency to lean back. It also bothers me more than I care to admit that there's no chrome on the claws, on his hands, on his wings. It really sticks out to me. I'm not sure why, but it does. Maybe because the wings are so big. Speaking of the wings, I wish they did collapse a bit more, but that's a small nitpick. The ratchets in the hips are trash. They should have been better. They're inconsistent forward to back, and I would have appreciated them being well fined out to the sides as well. I'm also not crazy about the proportions on the arms. That bothers me more than others. I get it. I also think the stickers for the eyes in pterodactyl mode is a really poor choice. It doesn't have the same elegance and distinguishment that the rest of the figure has, and I think it stands out like a sore thumb. There's also some weird things regarding the engineering of the transformation. I'm not sure why those things on the shoulder pads don't really kind of move properly, and at least in the instructions they're supposed to. I don't quite get that. Also, the flight stand, something is wonky with mine, and it's really hard to get into the base, so just use caution. Also, there's some wear and tear that's going to happen to the paint if you manipulate this thing a lot. That's one of the costs of doing business of a lot of paint jobs. To me, it's worth the sacrifice because the paint is beautiful and stands out. That's going to come down to how you collect. You tinkerer, you. JK. Positives, though, there's plenty. The sculpt, for the most part, is beautiful. Tons of detail. Sometimes maybe a bit much, but I think, at least in today's market, it's a breath of fresh air just to see some really interesting line work. The paint is phenomenal. It's one of the best painted figures I've looked at this year, easily. It has a strong presence, it cleans up well, and the materials are fantastic. It's also articulated fairly well for the most part. It's just the ankles that'll get on your nerves. And honestly, all of those things are done well enough even with the amount of criticisms that I have, have, I can definitely recommend this. I don't think there's a way that if you're interested in this line and you want this Swoop that you'll get it and be disappointed. It does a lot of things right, and arguably it does some of the most important things right, depending on your intentions. So I can recommend it. If you get it from East Coast Toys, tell them Scully sent you. Just know that there are some limitations to this guy. It's not a perfect figure by any stretch of the imagination. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.